Hi everyone, welcome to session 2, and in today's session we're going to put another layer on top of our underpainting, get a lot of the values a lot darker. We're going to get in the eye color and get a lot of details going, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to work from left to right and try to just get as much value in as dark as I can. I'm going to use my classic mix that I like to use on these brown dogs, which is burnt sienna, pretty cream consistency, because I'm going to start with this dark area of this ear in here, and then what I'm going to do is put it on dry paper and then blend with clean clear water, and then do another dark spot over here and blend that with clean clear water, and a little hint there, and then hopefully this area will be pretty much done except for the last final details of the after it all dries. I'll go over with tea consistency, little tiny strokes to suggest fur possibly. We'll see what we think we need there. But that's probably what I'll do as the last step to finalize this ear. So we've got it blocked in. Now we're going to get the values right. Getting lots of paint activated. And then I'm going to get my French ultramarine. This is by Winsor & Newton. I was using Daniel Smith and it granulated weird. I didn't like it. So I'm also going to get a little pile of more pure blue as I move up. I'm cleaning my brush out and then getting so that I can maybe have a few different colors in the ear so it's not all flat. I'll start with blue up here, I think, and then move down in color as I move down the ear if I can. All right, so now I've got pretty much pure blue with a little bit of burnt sienna in my brush just because of how I mixed and what direction I mixed. So I would like to keep the colors changing a little bit, not in value, but in color just a little bit. Let's see if I can do that. And just going to start on dry paper up here. All right, and then as I move down, I'm going to pick up my puddle that has a lot more burnt sienna down in here to warm it up as I move down the ear. So this is all pure dark color there, and then it kind of slants that way, doesn't it? And then over here, there's a little, I'm looking very closely. You see me pausing with my brush. That's me looking and looking and looking at my reference photo to look at this other shape over here. Look 2 or 3 times, paint once, as they say. Do they say that? I've never heard that, but it's a good policy. Okay, and then it gets a lot warmer. I'm going to clean out my brush a little bit and then go back in and pick up some pure burnt sienna as we move into the light. This gets warmer. So we want to change those colors. All right, and now I'm going to clean up my brush, pat out the extra brush, maybe pat out the extra water, get clean clear water, and get just a little on the tip, and then blend this. See, I let it sit for a minute so it stays put where I put paint, but I want it to blend softly now over into this area. So I'm just blending it over. And then there's some kind of tea consistency mark here. I'll put that on dry paper, and now I'm going to touch this dark area and blend it a little bit now with a damp brush, just barely damp, just to soften this edge. Damp brush, clean it out. This is a new way of painting for me. I'm trying it out. I like it, I think. Okay, and then this little shape goes all the way over to the edge of the ear, and there's like this edge over here like that. And then there's a really light spot here. I'm just going to fill this in with water and kind of let it have a push effect, and hopefully it'll stay light. Now I'm sopping up some water just to try to keep it. I'm going to pull down some of this color a little bit more. And then scrumble across this edge. And then there's a light little shadow here. I'm going to get tea consistency for this little line of shadow going down. I'm going to get plenty of water so this looks like a watery mark. All right. I'm just putting these very subtle little shades in these areas. He's got a really dark little tip here. It's kind of cute. It shows off the cute little tip of his ear, so I'll get that dark. Capture that. Oh, this is really light. All right. So that pretty much is that for the ear, I think. We'll go back in and refine whatever we feel like needs it. So let's move over. And I think this little area could use some darkening. It's almost pitch black, so I'm just gonna do a little bit of darkening here. And this is a lot darker. The eyeliner here. We'll do a lot more on the eyes, I'm sure. All right. I like this light on light edge right there. So we want to be cognizant of leaving some areas really light to touch the light of the background because of our newly found Rembrandt principle. If you have not learned about my Rembrandt principle yet, go find it in my content or ask me about it. Let's see, what should we do next? Maybe this little cheek area, this value here needs to be put in. It's not there at all right now, is it? So I'm going to start with an under layer. I see a lot of brown here. I'm going to paint this on dry paper. Again, I'm using my Aqua Elite size 4 long brush, by the way. I could probably use a larger brush because I'm not really quite to the detail stage, but I'm going to blend that out up here. And then as it goes around his face, it gets a lot cooler all of a sudden over here. And then there's this, I'm going to paint this in and then pull up the fur texture up there. And then there's some really thick, dark marking. So I'm going to get cream consistency while this is still wet and really get this a little dark in there and let it kind of softly blend in the wet paint that I already put down. And then there's another little soft but dark mark right here that I'll add in that little detail. And then this point is, if you measure, oh, look at me getting my painting wet. I'm going to put a bunch of water on that. Okay, so this is what I mean with your drawing skills and measuring. You use them. So let's look at this picture. Let's look at this point and the point where this rounded part meets his snout, and you move diagonally up and over. I feel like my point is up too high because it's more almost straight across. So I'm going to move my point down. Do you see how I use my drawing skills there to compare one point to another? The original point that I have is more accurate. It's down here, isn't it? So I'm going to move it to make sure I have his face in the right spot. We don't want a weird shape in the face, do we? All right, so that's more where it is. And this is a beautiful light edge, actually. I've got it darker in mine. I could scrub that out. This edge right here is really light compared to the background. It's almost the same value. So I like that. I might scrub this out later. All right, so I feel like I got a lot done on that cheek area. Should we scratch the itch you know we all have and put in some eye color? Mix a little puddle over here, about milk consistency, I'd say. And I got all kinds of junk on my palette. All right, milk consistency, burnt sienna, here we go. I'm going to leave that little sliver of light white, even though it's not in the reference photo. I like how that looks. Okay, now I've got a bit of a puddle, so I'm going to sop up anything that's kind of, you know how water, what's that tendency of water to have that dome over the top? It domes out. If you see your paint doming out like that, you don't want that. All right, now you guys know that I like to have a bit of a gradation from dark to light as you move down the eye. This in the reference, there's not much of one, but there is a little bit of lightness in here. So I wrung out, cleaned out my brush. It's acting like a sponge now, and I'm just gonna lift it out. And if it doesn't lift out to your liking, I'm dipping just a tiny tippy tip. I'm maybe getting the last drop off, and then I'm gonna drop a little water in here, and if the effect is too strong, I can always go in and fix it later. See, it flooded the area. Now look, it's pushing. In such a small area, it's so hard to control, isn't it? So we'll go, all you have to do is just go back in with some milk consistency and fill it back. We didn't want quite that effect, quite that much. So I'm gonna fill this back in, especially up in here. I'm going in with cream consistency up here, and then I'm going to get some paint with just a little blue, just a tiny bit of blue added for this darker, make it a little darker up here. Okay, and then we have that gradation now a lot better. I'm going to put some pure milk consistency burnt sienna right in here and let the gradation kind of be right there. All right, I'm gonna dot a little bit up. I'm so nitpicky about eyes, but you know, I'm kind of known for my eyes, and it's probably because I put so much attention to them. I really do. I spend time with them, I futz with them, fix them. Okay, now I'm going in with some milk consistency cobalt blue. Any blue that you have, the ultramarine, doesn't matter. And I'm going to put a little bit, and this might all be masked, I really can't tell, but I'm going to put some blue from the sky in part of the glint, and hopefully that's on pure raw paper. I can't remember. Let's see if I can feel what I did. I don't know. But anyway, I put a little bit of sky blue in there because eyes do reflect the sky color, don't they? All right. Now, That's looking good. You can wait a few seconds and then do a little bit of a lift. Timing is important too. If you go in and lift right after you put the paint in and it's too wet, it'll just all flood back into the area. And then if you wait too long, it won't lift. So it is about timing to lift colors back out like I just did. And you saw me right there. I didn't get it quite right either because I dropped in too much water and it pushed out too much. So you just got to keep playing with it, especially y'all who are kind of a lot newer. Just know it's not just you that you don't get it quite right. It's very exacting sometimes exactly how the timing works out with watercolor. You got to get it just right sometimes on these especially these more delicate areas. Okay, so that's done. I think I want this shadow, or this highlight that goes over his eye up across his forehead to be a little bit darker blue. And I'm going to leave it quite light there, but I like that shadow or that highlight, but I think it needs more color in it. So I'm going to get some pretty clean French ultramarine and just put another little wash of value over some of this. And then I'm letting some scrumbles happen. That's good. And then clean up my brush and blend it up here because I want that light area in case I want to do the Rembrandt light on light edge there. So I'm going to give myself that opportunity. I can always darken this if I feel like it's just, it's not working. If it's not working later in the painting, we can rebalance. Okay, there's more blue coming across the shadow across his whole nose. So it starts over here and really it goes over it's a shadow shape that comes all the way across, except for this little highlight here. I'm going to leave. You can allow scrumbles to happen if they happen, if you want. And luckily my pencil drawing, I've got this shadow shape kind of obvious. And then it comes back up over the nose. And this little dip. This should not be there. And then there's more shadow here. And then it very much goes up here. You can see it. You really can. And all the way down. Let's throw some purple in as we go over here to add some interest. And then there's highlights I think will be best scrubbed out, so I'm not going to worry about saving them. But I do want to get this line, and I'm comparing this line to the ear where it is, so it's kind of goes over here. This edge is a bit of a mess. I'll probably scrub that out and fix it later. I think these little edges will be best scrubbed out. All right, got that in. Now we could block in the eye color in this eye if you want. Do you like how I talk to you guys like as if you're here? Someday maybe we can all get together. That would be fun. All right, This eye has a really pretty light area in the values, which I'll try to get. Again, I'm going to leave this white area pure white because I want to do that blue thing that's so pretty. All right, now I'm getting a little bit of a puddle. I'm going to pick that up and then get more cream consistency paint and kind of dot it in the darker areas. And then I'm going to get some burnt sienna with a little bit of French ultramarine added. Maybe let it dry a couple seconds. And then kind of dab in some more chocolate brown color because we added French ultramarine to our burnt sienna. All right, this is still pretty wet, but let's clean out our brush, get clean clear water, and then dry it out so it's like a sponge. And then I'm going to lift just in this area. Okay, and we'll see, it might fill back in because it's still pretty darn wet, but I do like that little light spot. It's really pretty. If it does fill in and you really just can't control it and you're not happy with it later when it completely dries, just go in and you can scrub out your highlight. So there's more than one way to paint any one thing in watercolor usually. And so you can wait, and then, you know, do another little lift if you want, and then put in a little bit more thick milk around the area. And then that's a lot closer to what we want. This eye looks a lot bigger than this eye, but then I look at the reference and that's kind of how it is. So when I do my next bit, I'll probably bring this eyeliner down a little bit to make them match a little bit more. I think I've got the eyeliner a little too high here, but I'll fix that later. All right, this ear area is really bugging me. This is all really rough, so I'm gonna work on that next, I think. This is starting to look like a dog and not painting in the ugly stage, but it still looks pretty rough. It's okay, you just keep working your painting. Paintings don't look beautiful from start to finish. They go through an ugly stage like a teenager does, usually. Unless they're a very fortunate teenager, I guess. All right. You could use your size 8 round probably for these larger areas. I've got this, I'm happy. I'm just gonna keep rolling with it. I feel like this needs to be up a little higher. Coming across his head. Scrumble it a little bit so it looks, oh, I didn't want that to happen though. I'll scrub that out. And then it comes, and then this is all one shape, and then I'll scrub out this little very subtle highlight later, I think, is how I'll do that. I'm just filling in these dark shapes. Get some more blue. And this is really a cool color, like as in cool, more blue in it. So I'm gonna try to honor that. And then you can see the light between the ear and the head here. So I'm gonna try to get this shape right. And it's very blue dark in here. So, and then this comes around. like that, and then it kind of blends out. So I'm going to get clean water in my brush now to just kind of blend this down. And then this is really dark here. It needs to be darker than I've got it. And it's a more brown than blue down in here. Dark, but it is dark. And then there's really dark brown on this side over here. So I'm going to get more burnt sienna. Pretty cream consistency. I'm working on dry paper and kind of using this new blend technique that I've been playing with. And just get this all really dark. I need a bigger brush. I really do. This whole area is like a very dark area in here. Trying to look at the shapes. Blend it all together. I can always get it darker later. I'm just kind of blocking this cheek area in. I'm looking at this negative space created by the ear tip and here, and trying to see if I've got, I feel like it needs to be more rounded here. Also using kind of a dry brush technique, which would be really great if it showed up at the final painting here on this edge. I do like that. All right. So that's blocked in. I'm really trying to move through a lot of territory on this painting because this person's been waiting. I've been so busy. So I'm really trying to make ground here by really painting as much as I can in one go, which is, what is that called? A la prima, all in one sitting. So as dark as you can get the values in one sitting and close to what they should be in the final painting, the better. And it also really does make a painting look more fresh. You can do that. This needs to be darker there. All right, so let's paint this ear. And this is all very dark, and really what you could do with this, and it would be cool, is paint all this underlayer super dark. And I'm going to vary it from, I see blue to purple to brown. And then later I'll scrub a little bit to get these little highlights, I think, is how I'm going to approach this. But it's going to be like a purple brown, a blue brown, and a chocolate brown as we move through the ear. And as much as you can do that, changing colors but not changing values. So we're going to have a dark blue, a dark purple, a dark brown, all the same darks, but different colors. The more you can do that, the more evocative and interesting and painterly your result's going to be. So I'm getting a pretty pure, I want to add a little bit of junk. I do not want it super pure, but pretty cream consistency, thick pile of purple here, or blue. You know what? Let's make a blue pile up here. All right, like a navy blue. Get navy blue by adding a pinch of burnt sienna. All right, and enough water I can get it to move around and leave that highlight that's so lovely. And I feel like it needs to be redrawn here. It kind of goes out more like this. this needs to be more like that. You see what I'm looking at? Do you all see what I see? I just feel like I have this shape a little wrong, and I want to add, the more curve you have to something, the prettier it's going to be, and I had it too straight up and down, so I just fixed that. If you didn't notice what I was doing, I was redrawing the boundary, the map that I had basically, and I'm going to be very cognizant to leave that light edge that I think is so pretty. And then it kind of blends. And then there's this dark edge over here. I like that. Trying to get it right. Using those drawing skills. And all right, and then this goes out here. And then I feel like it gets more purple then. I'm gonna add purple to my mix and some water so it all kind of flows a little bit, at least. And I'm not going to worry about these highlights right now because I think I'll probably end up scrubbing them out anyway. Try to get these like indentations this dog has. And his ear, which are kind of interesting. And I really have to hold my breath right to get those. And pay attention to what the heck I'm doing. All right. And then I'm gonna go brown here. Chocolate brown. Warmer as we move up the ear. And then more purple in here. I like that purple. I don't know, you can't really see the blue because it's so dark in here, but maybe as it dries you'll be able to see it. We'll see. I tried. Didn't I? I did try. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a rough edge here. Ears are so cute. I like this guy's ears. They really contribute to the personality of this guy, I feel like. And then this little area meets over here. All right. That looks good, right? And then we'll go in and scrub out very delicate little highlights once this all dries with the scrubber. Once this completely dries. I'll stop and let this dry and think. All right, this is all perfectly dry. It's been at least a week since I worked on this. So I'm just gonna soldier on and see what I need to do next. What's most bugging me is his mouth area, so I think I want to refine that a little bit. So I'm gonna do that. So it's got this and then that, and then he's got a thin little dark line along here. I'm going to get some burnt sienna mixed with French ultramarine with my size for silver black velvet round. You can use the Aqua Elite if you've gotten that brush. Just any detail brush will really be fine. I'm going to rinse out my brush and then blend this out so that it has a bit of a gradation from dark to light as it moves across his lip. I want to get this little area darker too. I'm going to gradate that out. And this has kind of a dotted texture. So try to get that. And there's a little bit of a darker edging along here. Just painting negatively around his chin area now. I'm just looking very closely and just painting trying to paint what I see. Not always easy for me either. But I see this dark area here. Thank you so much for joining me for session 2. And in session 3, we'll start balancing out the values, doing some detail work, taking off the masking, doing the details in the eyes. And this is going to start looking like something acceptable. So I will see you in session 3.